within 7 days and completely remove your urges within 2 to 4 weeks with using the subconscious transition method. Now, I know you see the word subconscious, but I want to let you know that this is way more than you simple subconsciously programming and changing your mind. This is combined 3 years of personal experiences and working with hundreds of men and using psychological approaches and advanced methods that helps in quitting porn for good. So to prove it so far, this is how multiple men have quitted. Many of them quitted in less than 7 days. Some of them never even relapsed once ever since I started coaching in the program. Okay. And there's a lot of their testimonials as well as we continue in this video. So you can pause this video out and read all of them if you want to. Now, first, you need to know like who this is for. If you have tried in the past or even right now using willpower, discipline, porn blockers, keeping yourself busy, not thinking about it, distracting yourself from the urge, but you keep on relapsing, and if porn has been ruining your drive towards your goals, your confidence, your relationship with your loved ones, and most importantly, your relationship with God, and if you over sexualize women, every woman that you see, and you have this dirty over sexualized mind, and if porn has been the barrier between you and your goals, then you need to listen up for the next 30 minutes. So here's the bottom line, okay? If you want someone who is himself completely free from porn or masturbation, who has coached multiple men to quit barely within 7 days, and want me to show you a proven method to quit porn once and for all, so you can meet your full potential in life, so here's me. Like I said before, I'm a porn recovery coach who has helped multiple of men between the ages of 20 to 45 quit porn for good in less than 7 days and not to worry about any, literally, not even have to worry about this addiction for the rest of your life. And I feel very fortunate because I've spoken around the world, basically online, with as many people and every day through Instagram and other platforms, and I've helped thousands of men who have watched my free content on YouTube. I'm not saying this to bribe, but I'm confident to say that I'm the porn recovery coach, and guys come to me to quit every single time. Now, let me see if this sounds like you. Have you used willpower, thinking that if you got a girlfriend, or if you get married, or constantly trying to keep yourself busy or distract yourself from the urge? Have you tried going on in these no-fap communities or using blocking softwares and maybe deleting social media? Maybe you tried therapy and you watched YouTube videos to know how to quit porn for good. I'm going to tell you exactly why none of these things work for quitting porn, because we all know that porn kills our masculine drive. It destroys your dopamine receptors and puts us in that state of shame and guilt. It affects your relationships with your loved ones or your relationship with your partner, or it will affect your future relationship with your partner with this over sexualization that you have towards women. It makes you shameful and guilty every single time you're done with it. And you know you must quit for good, but for some reason you keep coming back at it. Like the urges get so strong and you're not sure why. Now, here's the inevitable truth, okay? You are stuck in this downward spiral, as you can see here on the left. You watch porn, so you feel the negative emotion, shame, guilt, all of that, okay? So you isolate yourself because you don't want to be around other people when you feel those emotions, and then you feel shame, guilt, stress, frustration, and all of these negative emotions. And how do you relieve those emotions? By going back to porn again. And also the cycle repeats and then repeats and then repeats. And so real life destructions, which I've experienced, and many of the people as well. I promise to you, okay? In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to show you a new method that has been recognized as the number one way to quit porn for good, because it helps to quit completely within 7 days and remove your urges within 2 to 4 weeks by attacking the root cause of your addiction. And it's also backed up by 720 plus members of my personal program over the past few years as a porn recovery coach. And this works even if you have been failing for years. I'm talking about 5 to 25 or even more, 30 years or 35 years. If you have a serious porn addiction, if you're doing it multiple times a day and you feel like extremely addicted and you feel like you have no self control and drive and overall discipline, okay? Because much like brother Anas, one of the guys I've helped, he managed to quit within a week and is completely free from porn for good. But before joining the program, okay, Anas was not confident. He could not talk to a single woman. He constantly had this over sexualized, dirty mind. and he would always relapse after a few weeks or few months. And then he ended up going back to the cycle again and never leaving the cycle, because he would get to 2 months and 3 months and then relapse. He relapsed a few times more and then kept going back again to 3 months and then relapse. And the cycle was going on and on and on. Okay. So I asked a lot of guys in my program for the subconscious transition. Before they tried the subconscious transition, they told me every other method they tried. And this is the list of every method they tried. Now, this list is basically what we call the short term techniques. So, porn blockers, motivation, willpower, discipline, exercising, faith, praying, punishing yourself not to do it, just having a girlfriend, journaling, mindfulness, trying again and again, keeping yourself busy, distracting yourself, blocking access to everything, spending more time with friends or being outside, reminding yourself to not relapse, putting your phone outside of your bedroom, using less and less social media or deleting it, having a purpose in life. Now, what we are seeing here is that all of these techniques target the tip of the iceberg, which is the 10%, right? Whilst the rest of the iceberg, which we don't even see, is the subconscious mind. And this is what we haven't tapped into yet. Subconscious mind is basically working against you right now. 90% of your brain is working against you, whilst 10% of your brain is working for you, which means that we have 10% against 90%. So you can see why we relapse and why these techniques never work, because they literally target the 10% of your brain. And some people will say that's even 5 to 10% of the conscious mind. Now, at this point, I have proven that with over 93% of the accuracy, and this method is actually 3 times stronger and better than any other program out there that usually takes 3 months to become porn free. Some of them even take 4 years to become free. So, now, much like brother Jawad, before he joined the program, he was stuck in this cycle of constantly feeling less masculine, or he wasn't closer to God. He was completely stressed and anxious. He wasn't motivated for his goals. He would watch porn for sleep, and he always procrastinated, and he always felt himself carrying a very low energy. He tried a full 3 years to quit before finding the subconscious transition method, and he was relapsing for over a decade. But he was able to quit porn after 10 years with the subconscious transition method. And now, here's Jawad fast forward. He's not watching porn. He has got closer to God. He has built a core confidence. And he's not only crushing in his job, but also is becoming more and more of a man of faith. So you can also read his testimonial as well. Just pause this video out. And this is Barkat, okay? Barkat said that basically, whereas before he was just using short term techniques and he was married, right? But he said he could never get past the 30 days mark. He went on multiple streaks for a few months, but always end up hitting the 30-day, 30 marks on average. And now he's currently completely free from PMO, thanks to God, and uh, understanding the root cause and triggers, as well as having the personal support from me 24/7. That's what he told me personally. Okay, in less than 7 days, he never relapsed since. Literally, never relapsed since. And now he's living his life closer to God, and he's being a great role model for his loved ones. He has basically leveled up every aspect of his life just because of getting back that masculine drive and removing the shame and guilt from his life, right? And we have Rehan. Rehan, before joining the program, constant relapses. Okay, I mean, this guy struggled for so many years. Was feeling absolutely hopeless, and destroyed his masculinity. He kept on doing it even though it was ruining his life. Okay, he was addicted for more than 15 years, literally. Okay, and now he has quit after a couple of days. He found the root cause through the subconscious transition, and is free from it completely. He's now pursuing his goals of starting his own business, and basically using all of that energy towards building a bright future for himself. So here's his testimonial as well, after 7 days of working with me. Samir, okay, another one of my student. Samir, before joining the program, he was unable to scale up in his career, right? He was so much worried about his job. He was weak. He would always procrastinate towards his dreams. Also, he was away from God. And fast forward now, Samir, he quit it forever within 2 weeks. He was focused on his vision, his more self control, He finally got that peace of mind, more improved relationships, and he also has a desire to build a family in the future. Okay, so this is his testimonial. You can read as well. So here's the roadmap for today's training. First is the quick intro about myself and how I found the subconscious transition method. And you're going to understand the real reason why you keep on relapsing despite not wanting to. And third, I'm going to lay out for you the 3 step subconscious transition method and exactly what to do to quit porn for good in the next 7 days. And at this point, I have many ambitious guys quitting porn forever at times where they thought they would never be able to. Okay. So here's a quick 1 minute story about me. Okay. I'm not going I'm not going to get too much in depth about it, but back in school, okay, I was more than addicted to porn. I'm talking about multiple times a day, sometimes up to 4 or 5, okay, like on average 2 to 5 times a day, right? I would watch weird and weirder types of porn, okay. I'm not gonna say specific words, for this presentation, but you can imagine what I'm talking about, okay. And I didn't realize at first, but it really, at first I didn't understand, but it really affected my ability to stand up to others. So I was often bullied, laughed at, and because of that, I would become depressed, felt suicidal at some point. I went from a happy 10-year-old kid to now being 11-year-old, being trapped in this habit, you know having my mind filled with pornographic scenes while I was literally going to school, like literally. And I didn't realize at first, but at some point I realized that I was like crap, okay. And it kind of hit me hard because I was so weak, depressed. I was socially very, very anxious. I couldn't talk to a single woman. And even if I did talk to her, I would be so stressed and nervous, and I would go back home and jerk off to her. Maybe I was thinking, oh, maybe I'm going to have sex with her, whatever. And I get back on. And my self confidence was very low. And I realized that it was all in reality connected to my porn use, right? I would wake up tired, feeling sluggish, and I have problems in my family because of my mood swings. I would always create problems. I would try to talk to women at that time, but none of them, okay, like I'm saying, none of them wanted to talk to me. I always wanted to really, improve myself to leave an impact in this world, but I didn't even took a single step towards it. And all of that was caused by porn killing my masculine drive to achieve things in the first place, okay, and stand up for myself. And I thought that, I'll be stuck in this same situation for years. I mean, I will never get anything done, which made me stress out of the time. And at this point, I just did a quick math myself, and the average I got that if you watch porn for 5 years on a minimum wage for 1 hour a day, you already wasted around 51,000, over $51,000, right? And I'm being generous because 1 hour a day, it kind of like puts us in that low state, achieving anything for multiple hours, sometimes even full day. We don't even do anything. But in reality, I know a lot of you guys are ambitious, and 1 hour a day can mean a lot, right? It can mean you building a business that makes you hundreds of thousands and make you able to provide for your family, or pursue a career that can make you 1 or 2 times better than doing nothing. It just makes you miss out on important opportunities that can lead you to achieving your goals in your career or your business. So I want you to do the calculation yourself, okay? And if you schedule the call with me, I want you to write this down so we can talk about it on the call, okay? While you are taking notes for this video, I want you to write down, okay? If you have been like most people on average, would watch porn like 1 hour a day or less, do this calculation. Multiply multiply the time per day, right? Like multiply the time per day that you have been watching porn on average over the past few years, ever since you started. Multiplied by the number of days in a year, which is 365. Multiplied by your salary, let's say your minimum wage, the minimum wage in your country. Multiplied by how many years you have been struggling with it. I mean, how long you have been doing it, okay? And and this is my calculation, okay? For 1 to 2 hours a day, that's around $51,000. And 100k, right? And so pause and I want to know, like, how much is it for you? So pause this video and really write it down, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to be able to use for other things as well. And for me, things were just getting worse and worse over time. I was like disturbed, like I just needed more and more to get off, right? I was just going down these holes of these disgusting weird types of porn myself in my room. It felt like my life was completely meaningless. I feel like completely empty inside when I would watch it. And here's the bottom line: porn was destroying my life. Possibly it's destroying yours too. And honestly, man, I tried everything to quit. I tried keeping myself busy. I tried learning new techniques. I tried deleting social media. I watched every single YouTube video. And I knew that if I continued down this path, it was very obvious. Like it was laid down in front of me that I would never achieve any of my dreams that I wanted to. Apart from this, my potential would be lost and I would never leave any impact in this world. And I knew I would directly kill my ability in the near future to build a family and provide for them. So I said that, you know what, enough was enough. I quickly also realized that seeing a therapist was useless because at that time, like, no therapist understood the true reality of porn addiction. I also realized that the loneliness and boredom was not why I relapsed. There was something deeper than that. Okay, and so I said that, you know what, enough is enough. Something has to change. And the craziest part about porn is how they show you that the brain is affected in a negative way, just like a drug. Now, when I became free myself and coached many people to do it as well, and I talked to people that were, free from heavy drugs such as cocaine, right? I realized that there were three common patterns that helped me and them become free forever without even craving for it. So I decided to, dive deeper into this, and find my own answers. I decided not to see things on a surface level, and I spent a whole 3 years to understand this. So I decided to go deeper. I spent money on courses, mentors, resources, courses with 7+ sections, and trying every single technique out there. And this is where I actually realized at some point that you can only solve a problem through the root cause. And to cut that root cause completely, you need to use the subconscious transition. As you can see the roots here, right? You see, cutting down the leaves won't do anything, okay? And this is where we fail. We just try to cut the leaves and the branches whilst the roots are still there, okay? So now that I did so much research with my mentor, spending a lot of money, I was reading hundreds of articles to discover what we call the subconscious transition method. Now, look, what do people that helped me and that I found personally was that 90% of men, or I would say myself, 95% of men were trying to quit the absolute wrong way. They were either using willpower, which fails over time and never lasts, or they were trying to use short term logical solutions to a long term deep inside of their subconscious problem. I'm going to say that again. They were trying to use short term logical solutions to a long term deep inside of the subconscious problem. It just didn't fit. Now, here's why short term techniques alone is not enough, okay? As you can see here, the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg, which can be up to 10%, okay? Porn cannot be treated through willpower, discipline, or self-control. Okay, we can see, as you can see, the conscious mind, willpower, decisions, analysis. But here we have the subconscious, which has never been tapped into yet, and has been used against us in a sense. Okay, and porn is in addition has been ingrained in your subconscious, and 90% of your brain is the subconscious. Okay, another name for the subconscious is the unconscious. Okay, now the beliefs, for example, okay, as you can see, the subconscious, so the beliefs, like you got told many times that, oh, masturbation was healthy, oh, porn helps to deal with sexual needs, it relieves stress and all of those things. And then you have the habits, the habits, like you have been doing it multiple times a day for the past years. Okay, and there's also a long term memory which is not there, right? But basically, the long term memory can be, you know, uh, you know resist to change, right? Can be all of those things. and you have been doing it for so long. And then also comes emotions. So you use porn when you feel certain emotions, right? You might go to use it. That's all in your subconscious. And that's why willpower and decision and discipline is never enough, okay? You need a proven method to rewire your brain, and not just rewire, but rewire your brain on a subconscious level. As you can see here, here's your brain on heroin, and here's your brain on porn, right? You need a proven method to alternate your subconscious, right? And by the way, a lot of guys, they are like, oh well, maybe if I get a girlfriend, that will be enough, right? Look, getting a girlfriend doesn't fix the porn issue. I've had many students who were in a relationship having intercourse and still were watching porn, right? They were always watching porn, watching porn, watching porn, okay? And we sometimes use porn to get off while having sex. Also, porn was never about intimacy, sexual needs, as I said, right? You're watching porn for a deeper reason, which is not the same as the reason to want to be with a girlfriend, okay, or to have intimacy and sex. I mean, even when you get the girlfriend, you will still have the urges. And yes, you will be less tempted at first, okay? But at some point, most men just end up watching porn once after a few weeks or months, even being in the relationship, because starts again, okay? And they watch porn from time to times, and their girlfriends literally hate it. Literally hate it, okay? Because they always end up finding out, and that's something that sometimes can ruin the relationship, right? And this is why many people come to me married or in a single relationship and still after having intercourse are hooked to porn. Like you can see the messages right here as well, okay? Because porn is not sex, like I said, right? Rather, it's dependency. What happens is they go maybe 2 or 3 months without it, and they're like, oh, I'm free. But then something happens in their lives, and then they go back to porn, and then boom, the addiction starts again and again and again and again. And another thing, as you can see right here, okay, here these are the messages. Now, for a lot of women will say this, okay, and men who start watching porn, they have a way higher chance of divorcing their marriage, okay. And it has been proven to double the chance of divorce from studies. And porn is one of the major reasons for breakups and divorces amongst couple. And many of us either have kids or want to have kids in the near future, to be this great father figure, just like Anas talked about, right? Well, it's gonna be hard if porn is still in the back of your mind. How would you lead your kids and your family and be a great father figure like a great father figure for them if porn is still in the back of your mind? Okay. And in most methods, overall, working out, distracting yourself from the urge, website blockers, no fap communities, YouTube videos, even Instagram and Facebook videos or communities, they are all helpful, but they don't teach you how to solve the core issue. All of these techniques, okay, they have shorter results. They work for a few days, but over time the urges build up and you always end up relapsing. And I mean, imagine this, okay? Imagine you have to cut down the tree because you notice that the tree keeps on getting bigger and stronger, okay? So you try to cut down the leaves, you cut down the branches, and the leaves and the branches here, okay? But they just end up growing back again and again. And the tree keeps getting bigger and bigger meanwhile. And over time, the tree will be so big that you will barely be even able to reach the branches and the leaves anymore, okay? And then eventually what's going to happen, you will just give up, right? Because the tree is too big that you cannot even cut it down. And as we can see here, it's the same with porn, okay? The branches and the leaves, or it's like the urges, it's like the problems in your life, the loneliness, the boredom, all of those things. So try to cut them down, cut them down, cut them down, but then boom, 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 the addiction strengthens to the point where it's like you just give in to your urge, unconsciously, right? Because you still haven't cut down the root cause. And suppressing the urges, trying to distract yourself, basically keeping yourself busy, what happens is it only becomes 3 times stronger the next time you have an urge. And over time this builds up, and you will want to watch porn even more and more and more. And then you start binge watching it. Like sometimes you haven't watched it in a few weeks, and then you end up watching it 3 times in a single day, right? That's what happens. And what happens is you finally relapse, That's the thing, okay? And you remember you got into this vicious cycle again where you're like, you know what, I can't do this after all of those things. All of these people are quitting, all these other guys are going on streaks. Why can't I do this? What is wrong with me, right? And at this time it sounds almost like, tell me if this is you, okay? It sounds almost as if you have two voices in your head, right? One voice of the truth, right? It's basically the conscious. And then there's this little voice, right? The subconscious, that's like in your head, and it whispers in your voice like a devil. But the reality is, we can't make this devil an angel if we know how to use the subconscious transition method, okay? Again, metaphorically speaking, okay? And sometimes, and I experience this, I have also experienced this a lot myself. Like a lot of people experience this, okay? You're basically receiving this message, you know oh, just look at a couple of photos on Instagram, just for a second, just go to Instagram. And then what happens? Oh, every single time those couple of photos turn into a dark spiral that ends up in a relapse, right? And oh, do it one more time, everyone does it, it's going to be the last one, and then we will stop for good. But you know that it's just going to put you in that spiral again and again, right? This same spiral, okay? And I've spent years developing this with multiple other men, and it is the prime method that works predictably and consistently for men because it targets the subconscious, right? The part which we cannot even see, which we haven't tapped into yet. For example, and that's been like for 3 years, and this is the prime method, okay, that works predictably and consistently, like I said. And here's another one of my student. So basically, after learning about the subconscious transition method, Ahmed, I feel that the subconscious of porn is decreasing day by day, more and more. It's like a huge part of me died, the part that was watching porn and relapsing. My urge is gone since we had our first weekly call. So basically, we have like coaching calls in the program, and he's quitted within 7 to 14 days. He found his root cause and never relapsed, and he's also pursuing his goals, of becoming a C accountant. Okay, I couldn't think your teachings could make me quit porn in a week or two. That's what he literally told me. Okay, so look here. So here's what we discovered after years of research on addiction. Basically, that instead of suppressing the urges, you need to completely remove those urges and instead use the right solutions. Okay? Because no desires for urges equals no porn. Yeah, it sounds simple, Ahmed, but how can you actually do it? Right? So look here. Okay? How you will apply the 3 steps to the subconscious transition method. Okay? So we have the first 2 steps. First, I'm going to show you the first 2 steps because the third step is to set up for you. Now, the first step is to simply discover your root cause. The second step is to use the subconscious transition, which will allow you to remove your urges for porn or your desire for porn. Now, let me elaborate step number 2 a little bit. Okay. So, let me explain step 1 and 2 using a simple metaphor using the McDonald example. Okay. So, let's just say that you conditioned your brain to eat McDonald burger every single time you're hungry. So in this case, the hunger is the trigger, right? The hunger is the trigger that you have. And every time you are hungry, you simply go and eat McDonald's, right? So the first time you are hungry over years of eating McDonald's, what are you going to crave? Exactly, McDonald's, okay? Because you conditioned your brain to crave it even when every single time you're hungry. Now, except the thing is, every time you're hungry, you eat McDonald's with, all of these chemicals and, combination, all of the stuff in it, the negative side effects. You're now going to feel tired, fat, low energy, unhealthy. Okay. Now, look, when you are hungry, but you have been eating McDonald's for years, at some point you forget what makes you even want to eat it in the first place, right? And that's why we need to uncover because you have been doing it repetitively for years, and you link some certain subconscious emotions to it. It's the same thing with porn. Let me show you a diagram. Okay, now here's a simple layout to help you understand. Okay, So you have a trigger, let's say in this case hunger. Now as a kid, right, if all you ate as a kid was McDonald's, that's what you're going to crave unconsciously, right? Like subconsciously you're going to satisfy that trigger temporarily, but would get all of these negative side effects in the long run, right? You will get fat, which means you might get bullied. You will be unhealthy, which means you won't be able to play sports, which means you will be excluded, and all of these like very very bad things, right? You won't even be attractive, which means girls won't talk to you, right? But instead, if you see what makes you start eating the McDonald's and why subconsciously you crave it, despite all of these negative side effects I just told you about. So when you uncover why basically you do that, right? So it's in the same way, when you uncover why exactly, like why basically you watch porn in the first place, like why did you start watching it, what beliefs are attached to it, that's when the emotions, uh, like what beliefs, the emotions, the long term taking, how did the habit form, you will soon realize what creates the urges in the first place. Okay, and this is the same thing I write here. We have the root cause, and then the subconscious transition is going to make it so you don't even want to go to porn and have all of these negative side effects. Won't even be, and you will be truly satisfied. Okay, you will be truly satisfied and you want, and you can basically prevent that cycle, I mean this thing from happening, right? This trigger porn, and now it's going to be the root cause, okay, satisfied through subconscious transition. So you are satisfied and you don't even need to watch porn. Now remember, the moment you basically find the root cause that creates the urges in the first place, the urges disappears. Okay, you just have to discover what is your deep hidden root cause that creates your urges in the first place. Now, 99.9999% of men think that they know the reason why they are watching porn, but they are usually wrong. Okay, and I've talked to this with multiple people every single day. Okay, your core reasons for your urges actually isn't loneliness, you know it's not stress, it's not because you have a lack of purpose and goals, it's not because you are bored or unhappy, it's not because you have a trouble sleeping or because you have a lack of sex, or you are single, it's not because of childhood trauma or sexual abuse. There is a deeper root cause underneath that you need to establish. Okay, and once you uncovered it, the urges will be gone. Because think about it, all people deal with this childhood trauma, sexual abuse. A lot of people, maybe for not the last two ones, also deal with the other ones, right? But they don't watch porn. And that's where we go to uncover the causes. Because these, with this diagram, as you can see, these are just the problems, and the symptoms at the same time. But we need to uncover the causes, okay, that creates the problem in the first place. Okay, you can understand with this very simple diagram. Now, question, okay. Let me ask you this question. Would you agree that quitting porn will be absolutely fantastically easy, or I would say effortless, if you knew your exact root cause that caused those urges? And two, you knew that your root cause. Absolutely, right? Absolutely. Now, the first two steps, okay, this is what I found. The subconscious transition method had incredible success rate, with more than three-fourths of the men succeeding extremely fast within 7 days. Okay, but here's what I found. And was that still some of the guys were still struggling. Okay, and I wanted to figure out why, and I wanted to make sure that this was absolutely bulletproof, so no man relapses. Okay, because I knew once there's a will, there's a way, right? So I found that some of these guys that still relapse even after using the first two steps, and it was because they didn't have the right systems in place. Okay, most of them either had been addicted for many years, I'm talking about 20 to 25 or more than that, or sometimes they would have lived through traumatic experiences such as sexual abuse and childhood trauma. Whilst it was in the root cause, like we saw, we just had to treat it in order to just clear their mind, right? So they just could go and live a new life. Okay, so I had to add the third step, right? Because at times of low and depressive moments and experiencing their trauma, some people genuinely didn't care about watching porn or not. Okay, so they will sometimes end up relapsing. So I spent multiple months the initial method was incomplete. So I spent multiple months addressing how can we build that systems that makes men never relapse no matter what, you know without struggling with any urges. Okay. And so because the initial method was incomplete, right, I realized, okay, that the men who never relapse were the ones who implemented the right systems, which we built out. Okay. Which was basically a new vision of themselves, which they acted upon every single day. And we had our high level of accountability one on one with me. Like they will be accountable to their vision and who they were going to be. They also learned the art of sexual transmutation, which they use that energy to transform it into making more money for most people, or to make the relationship with their wife, their loved ones better, and work on their health more and more. Okay. And so we need to see here, right? Now that we perfected the subconscious transition method by adding a third crucial step to the equation, which was the systems. So, step one was uncover the root cause, step two is kill the root cause, and the third step is to implement systems to become a new man with powerful sexual energy transformed. Okay. And this not only stopped the negative effects of porn and prevent relapses, but it also increased testosterone. It gave them a raw, pure masculine hunger and drive towards life. And it makes you hyper focused on your mission and goals. You become more attractive to the right, faithful, feminine woman because you're not over sexualized and you're not filled with lust like everyone else, basically. And start being this leader for your loved ones, right? For the ones around you, where basically people come to you when they have problems and you actually help them, right? And over the past few years, I have had the fortunate, okay, privilege of helping multiple men using the subconscious transition method to get out of porn for good. With over 90% of men quitting within the first 7 days and the 3% of the remaining quitting within the 30 days mark, okay. And I feel so fortunate that I've helped so many men quit porn for good. And until today, this method has changed lives of over 720 plus men who are struggling with porn just like you. And I realized they took three keys to success. Okay. The first is to use the proven method that works. Instead, quick fixes like, oh, just keep yourself busy. These reactive strategies like, using willpower that never works long term because they don't address the root cause of your urges in the first place. You need to instead uncover those urges and do the subconscious transition method to completely get rid of the root cause, which will get rid of the urges, right? And key number two, the second key to success is using an accountability group. Look, you cannot do this alone, okay? otherwise you have Otherwise you would have stopped it by now. You see, you need to familiarize yourself with not watching porn, with people that are outside of that porn trap, right? People that are outside of this, so you can familiarize yourself around this lifestyle of not watching porn, right? Not masturbating. Instead, when you join a brotherhood of other like-minded men who are now free from the struggles of the same problem just like you, porn loses all its power. Okay, trust me. Because here's one of my student. Okay, I think he said like one of the biggest benefits for this was swallowing his pride and realizing that he couldn't do it himself. And he said that, okay, to me personally. He told me that he wanted to be courageous by being open about this issue because he believed that at some point we must all come to terms and ask for help instead of just suffering for another few years, right? And look, okay, the thing is, by yourself, what happens is you usually fall off. Maybe you find a way to keep on going, but eventually you fall off, right? Because you don't do the right things. But with mentors like myself and being able to contact me throughout the day at any time, constantly having accountability and being able to ask for any advice, it will help you get to your goal of quitting porn for good. Because no one is there when you are alone, right? No one is there when you are alone, and you do or not when you are alone. No one is gonna pull you out of the low moment, where of the low moment where you are about to relapse, and you don't even know the full deep on root cause when you are alone. Okay, that's the thing. Now, the third and the final step to quit porn for good is using a proven step by step method that is crucial, okay? That actually works because it makes it easy and quick to implement. I spent over 3 years coming up with this exact systems and building it down to a simple 12-week systems for you to quit porn for good, okay? And obviously it only takes 7 to 140 days approximately, but this basically makes sure that you don't even depend on porn, and it allows you to even be a man that is going to be able to lead and even help other men quit porn maybe in the future, okay? So here's you right now, okay? If you stay on this path, you will keep on failing on your own, right? You will lose more masculine energy and drive, which is very, very important day by day, right? Your sense of self-worth and self-trust will get lower because you will keep on failing. Your anxiety and over sexualization of women will only increase over time because you are reinforcing those pathways in your brain. You will miss out on important opportunities to possibly meet the future mother of your children. This is important, right? And create an amazing loving relationship with her and building a family. And you will also lose money, like we saw when you did the calculation, time down by time, okay? Time, which is also one of the most important resources, down the drain by not giving up to this habit. Now if you decide though to quit for good and do something different once and for all, you will gain momentum and excitement. And when you look in the mirror, you will feel actually proud of who you see on the other side. You will gain confidence and attraction for faithful woman, again because you will be standing out, not filled with lust, and you will actually want to build a family. You will just be this magnetic aura where women will just look at you and they know something is different about this guy, right? Because the rest of men are always watching porn. I mean, you will finally be in a relationship, planning on having your first child, or having your first kid, or maybe even you will be a great father if you're currently a father, right? You will feel this internal peace knowing that porn is not in the back of your mind, and you feel this confidence knowing that you will be a great father whatever happens. I mean, just think about the time and energy. Imagine just having a new vision for your goals, and promoting that with business or your career, making 10 times more money than you are right now, helping other men around the world, starting to have an impact on those around you, your loved ones, leading them, having them look up to you, and most importantly knowing that you will make God proud and live a life without regret and be on your deathbed and be like, man, I've used all of my potential and I'm actually proud of myself. So you could either stay like this if you want to, or use the method that works for so many other guys, okay? For all the men I just showed you and quit porn for good, to reach your full potential. I mean, the choice is literally yours. But the only thing stopping you right now is taking action on something new. Because the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over again, right? So remember, this method is extremely simple. It's just uncovering, killing, and transforming. That's it. Now, look, man, you haven't been failing at this because you're not smart enough or not good enough. You just didn't know what to do. Like, can you admit to yourself that if you had a proven system and method that actually work other guys just like yourself, that you will be able to follow it and that you will be able to, take the same steps as everyone else on this journey with other guys guiding you along the way, that it's gonna be impossible to fail because the only thing separating you from these guys I've shown you is just the methods and the systems. That's it. I mean, my only question for you at this point is, how much longer do you want to wait before you take 100% commitment towards your higher self? I mean, what would you be able to achieve in the next 5 years if you quit porn today? Would you be able to like really stop over sexualizing women and get closer to God like Anas, or start making way more in your business in terms of money, just like Rehan, or even start building a family and become a great father figure like Barkat? I mean, would you become like that man that is in full control of his life and his work, providing for others, stepping into situations with charisma and confidence, having a magnetic aura around you? you know I mean, you could try this on your own, right? You could walk through basic this path blindfolded, right? Because I already gave you the cliff notes. Now you have two paths to take, right? You can either go left or right. You have to choose, because you could try it on your own, like I said, okay? The path one is the same exact route, which means insanity, right? You could just walk through this path blindfolded, because it took me over 8 years, right? Hundreds of relapses. I was waiting until some miracle happens, but there's no miracle, trust me, okay? There's no miracle that happens, okay? You just have to take action. Or the second path is just to find someone who has the same path that you want, right? Who's on the same path, I mean the same life, and use the proven process to save the thing that you have in your life, which is what? Time, right? Give yourself every advantage possible. I mean, mentors and accountability, there's no way for you to fail, okay, when you take that approach, okay? Because this is the same exact path my students took to go from constantly relapsing, feeling shameful and weak, to using the method that actually works, okay? Now the three steps to never relapsing, right? Now the three steps to never relapsing, marrying your dream woman, finding key to success, finally having this drive and aggression towards life within you and energy, becoming the man you are meant to be on this planet, making God proud, and leading your loved ones. That's all you have to choose right now, okay? It is your choice, okay? And this is not for men who are not ready to commit to their big goals and dreams, who just want few quick tips, okay? That's not what this call is for. We also don't want you to sign up if you don't want to quit porn and masturbation forever. If you want to just go for a couple of months, then this will never work, okay? We don't want you to come on this call if you don't take responsibility for your own actions, okay? And finally, we expect you to put in the effort to change this. It is a simple process, but it does require a quick, 10 to 20 minutes of, you know, I mean, daily effort in your end for a couple of weeks, okay? If you don't take action, you not get the results. Simple, okay? And this is also not for men who don't want to invest in themselves. So if you can promise me that you're not this guy, and you are someone who wants to take action and change the path in their lives to go towards what you deserve, okay? And you can also look below. There's other testimonials as well. You can check out other testimonials on our website as well, to see other people who also succeeded with the same method. You're watching this, by the way, thanks for watching till this point. Now if you're a good fit, we will give you premium access to our subconscious transition mentorship. But we only allow men who want to quit for their faith, who wants to build a family, and who want to chase their goals and aspirations. We don't want men who just want to get laid and they don't have any goals, okay? And we only allow access to men we know are full 10 by 10 on a commitment to change. We won't keep you comfortable for your goals. We will always give you harsh feedbacks and even call you out if needed, so you can make the most progress towards your goals and overall grow and become more masculine. High level accountability, you know a very high level accountability, which means that no slacking off or laziness towards this program or towards your life, okay? Because I'm highly selective about who is allowed into this group. But in the very least, you will gain a lot of clarity on your current situation with this call. So if you're ready to get out of the prison of porn and lust for good, and have the peace of mind to focus on your business or job,